After 600 kilometres, we'd reached the west coast of Wales. We'd left Gubert behind and were pedalling towards the mountains of the north, heading for Snowdonia National Park. The heat had continued, and we'd been taking every opportunity we could to cool off.
On our first night in the West, we'd ended up knocking on a local's door in search of a spot to camp.
Thank you, Charlie, for having us, and hope to meet you again.
We slept amongst some old tractors and showered under a hose. And it turns out we'd stopped just a stone's throw away from Cardigan Bay. This stretch of coast is home to the largest population of dolphins in the UK.
And then lastly, I've got one live ring on the back of the cabin here.
We've had a lovely little stop in Newquay, but now we have to get out of here, and it's really, really, really hilly to get back up to the road that we're cycling on. Jill looks very ready to go. So yeah, we've got to
wait a few hours until the sun goes down.
we've got a long way to go and a lot of hills to climb, and neither of us are feeling like doing it right now.
Let's get a taxi.
We made our way up gruelling hills to the next town along, Aberaeron,
where Jill, after all her punctures in the last video, finally picked up a new rear tyre. And just outside the bike shop, we were greeted by a friendly face.
Yesterday.
And today as well. I believe that today even more.
A guy called Radek just stopped to chat to us in Aberaeron, which is where we are now, as we were dealing with Jill's tyre situation, and he's offered us a place to stay.
Which is so perfect because we're so exhausted. And initially we refused, and then immediately realised we'd made the worst decision ever.
Yeah, we're supposed to be in a town a little way down the road, but we're knackered. He gave us his number and we called him to ask if the offer still stood, and it did, and he's waiting for us on the beach now, just down the road.
Hello, Radek!
We took a couple of COVID tests to make sure we weren't unwitting super spreaders, and spent the night at his home.
Radek, the guy who hosted us last night, has joined us on our cycle ride today to our next host. Hello, Radek! Thank you, Radek! Thank you for everything!
We followed Radek through scenic back roads until he dropped us off at a house in the middle of the woods.
This was where we'd be staying for the next 3 nights, with Catherine and John. And to say these two are self-sufficient would be an understatement.
They'd come back from working in Papua New Guinea a few years ago, retired, and decided to start producing almost all their own food.
Pretty much everything they eat is grown or raised in their garden.
I've always been interested in growing my own stuff. It's something I've done since being a child. We're in the situation where we can sit down virtually every meal time, and just about everything on the plate has come from our little small holding. I think we've got something like 30 different fruit varieties here. We've really only been doing it full time since retiring in the last 3 years, since coming back from Papua New Guinea.
Now, coming back from PNG doesn't really do the story justice. They were forced to flee the country when they received threats after trying to clean up corruption at a university over there. From going into hiding in PNG to running a peaceful smallholding is quite the change of pace.
So this is where we've been staying for the last 2 nights. There's a little trapdoor here out in the barn to get to our room. And then it takes you up into here. And yeah, we've spent 2 nights here. We had a rest day, first rest day in about 8 or 9 days. And we're about to head into Snowdonia. Thank you, John and Catherine. Lovely to meet you guys. Bye. Thanks for everything.
After a much-needed day of rest, we set off for the mountains. Snowdonia was next. As we neared the mountains, peaks rose in the distance, and we braced ourselves for what was to come. Nothing we'd cycled so far came close to the scale of Snowdonia.
Yeah, look at him go!
I've given in and I'm having to walk a little bit up this mountain. Just goes on and on and on.
Woo! Woo!
After 6 punctures so far, Jill's new rear tyre had solved a lot of her problems. But it only really dealt with half the issue, because now it was the front tyre's turn to cause some drama.
Stop getting punctures!
I knew I should have bought a second tyre. I only bought a
Why
new one
did
for
you
the
only
back.
buy
I
a-
don't know, because this one seemed fine.
Oh, wow. Just as we got to the top. I just do not understand how you've had 7 punctures now and I've had none. It doesn't make any sense to me. Back to the old drawing board. Let's do the drill.
From the top.
From the and 1 and 2 and 3.
Oh, tired. You are so tired. And it's time for you to retire. You too tired are too tired for me to rely on you. I found it. Another thorn!
You're joking.
Another really big thorn. What the hell?
60, wasn't it? Yeah.
Another puncture repaired, we made our way to Dolgethlau, our first stop in the mountains. We'd cycled almost 800 kilometres by now, but we still had such a long way to go. We didn't even know if we'd be allowed onto the Isle of Man or over to Ireland yet because of COVID, let alone make it to our end goal, Shetland, and our movie date at the most remote cinema in the UK. It all felt so far away that it seemed abstract, an idea rather than our destination. So for now, all we could do was focus on Wales and chip away at the kilometres one day at a time. We had one more day to rest in Dolgethlau before we'd pedal on to the north coast.